What's up, Pathways Church? Welcome to today's Daily Dose. I'm Nathan Purifoy, your worship pastor. We're on day 2 of this week's Daily Dose talking about giant faith. Now, I'm going to jump straight into a story in the Old Testament about Elijah in 1 Kings. We're going to talk about Elijah in the Old Testament, 1 Kings 17, verse 1. Now Elijah the Tishbite from Tishbe in Gilead said to Ahab, "As the Lord, the God of Israel lives, whom I serve, there will be neither dew nor rain in the next few years, except at my word." Then the word of the Lord came to Elijah, "Leave here, turn eastward, and hide in the Kerith ravine, east of the Jordan. You will drink from the brook, and I have directed the ravens to supply you with food there." How many of you would eat food brought to you by scavenger birds? That's my question. So he did what the Lord had told him. He went to the Kerith ravine, east of the Jordan, and stayed there. The ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening, and he drank from the brook. In the very first verse, Elijah told Ahab that there's not going to be any rain for a long time except by his word. Here's what's crazy about that. First of all, Elijah is living there at the time. He's not in his home country. He's from somewhere else. And now he's here in this foreign place. And he tells them, you're not going to have any rain, which means your livestock are going to suffer. Your crops are going to suffer. There's not going to be a lot of food. There's not going to be a lot of water. You're not going to have any rain for a long time except by my word. My first question is, how many of you, after like a week of that, just 1 week, would have been like, "This is my word. Give us rain back. Give us rain back, please." Or how many of you maybe wouldn't even say that in the first place? Because we know how powerful it is to be obedient in that moment. It's like by Elijah's tongue, this drought is going to start and then this drought is going to stop. What if Elijah had just shut up and hadn't said anything? But here's the thing is he was obedient and he told Ahab that this drought was coming. Then, because of this, he was willing to go through the drought. God provided for him. God gave him the words to say. He said them. Now God sent him to this ravine where he's going to be fed by ravens and he's going to have a brook that's not going to run dry, that he's going to keep drinking from. And even later when the brook does run dry, God gives him more provision because Elijah is consistently obedient. I want to share this one thing with you is that provision follows obedience. When we have big faith and we're willing to be obedient, even when it's difficult, God's provision always follows. We want to make deals sometimes. We want to tell God, like, if you'll do this, if you'll give me a bigger paycheck, if you'll give me a nicer house, if you'll just make my kids act right, then I'll do all these things for you. God wants us to do these things for him first. He doesn't want to make deals. He wants his people to be obedient. And when we are, then he gives us the promises that he's declared in his word over and over again. So I just want to encourage you guys to have big faith, be obedient, and allow God to provide for you. We'll see you tomorrow on the Daily Dose.